If there's one thing I've learned watching good men get absolutely dismantled, it's this. Divorce isn't a battle for justice. It's a controlled demolition of your life, and you are given the choice to either grab the blueprints and direct the blast, or stand in the foundation and get buried in the rubble. Most men choose the rubble. They think they're in a courtroom drama, fighting for what's right, for what's fair. They stand there, chest out, ready for a noble war, while the system is quietly picking their pockets and dismantling their future brick by brick. They believe their anger is a weapon, but it's not. It's a poison they drink, hoping the other person dies. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to put the poison down, walk away from the collapsing building, and start building something new with what you managed to carry out. The biggest myth they sell you, the one your friends will feed you over beers and your own ego will scream at you in the dead of night, is that you have to fight. You have to fight for the house, fight for the car, fight to prove she was the one who was wrong. You see yourself as a warrior on the field of honor. You imagine a judge, a wise arbiter, listening to your side of the story, nodding with understanding as you lay out the logic, the betrayal, the sheer injustice of it all. You think your righteous anger is fuel. You believe that if you just argue loud enough, present enough evidence, and burn enough money on a lawyer who tells you what you want to hear, that the scales of justice will balance. You will be vindicated. You will win. That is a fantasy. It is a lie that will cost you your money, your sanity, and your children's respect. Here's the reality of that fight. You're not in a gladiator's arena. You're in a conference room with bad lighting and overpriced coffee, arguing over a 10-year-old sofa. You spend $5,000 in legal fees to win a $2,000 dining set. You write scathing emails at 2 a.m., meticulously documenting every slight and broken promise, and you pay your lawyer $300 an hour to read them. You're fighting, but what are you fighting for? Your internal monologue is a torrent. She's not getting away with this. After everything I did, after all the sacrifices, I'll burn it all to the ground before I let her win. This monologue feels powerful. It feels like you're taking control. What you're actually doing is handing the detonator to your emotional state. You're letting the part of your brain that evolved to fight saber-toothed tigers make complex financial and legal decisions. That part of your brain is an idiot. It's a screaming child in a cockpit, and you've just handed it the controls during a hurricane. Every angry phone call, every motion filed out of spite, every refusal to compromise on a trivial issue is you paying a fortune to pour more jet fuel on your own house fire. The raw truth is that the family court system does not care about your feelings. It does not care who cheated, who was neglectful, or who said what during a holiday dinner 5 years ago. It is a cold, dispassionate bureaucracy designed for one thing: the division of assets and the allocation of custody based on a predetermined and often deeply flawed set of formulas. Your outrage is just noise in its gears. Your quest for vindication is a rounding error on its balance sheet. You think you're paying your lawyer to be your champion. You're not. You're paying him to be your translator in a language you don't understand, spoken in a country where you have no rights. The only victory in this process is getting out of it as quickly, as cheaply, and as intact as possible. The number one mistake you are making is believing this is a war to be won. It's not. It's a hostage negotiation where you are one of the hostages, and the only thing you're negotiating for is the price of your own freedom. You have to stop trying to win the argument and start trying to win your future. But to do that, you have to accept that your sense of fairness is a liability you simply can't afford. So you let go of fairness. You swallow that jagged pill and accept the system is what it is. Now what? Now you confront the second myth, the one that's even more seductive than the fight for justice. the myth of control. You believe, deep down, that if you are just logical enough, just persistent enough, just right enough, you can make her see reason. You can manage this process. You can control the outcome. You write emails that are masterpieces of logic, laying out budgets and schedules with the precision of a military operation. You try to reason with her, to explain to her why your plan for the kids' visitation is objectively better, why your valuation of the house is the only one that makes sense. You think you are the calm, rational commander in a chaotic battle, directing your forces with clarity and purpose. What you don't see is that your ex-wife doesn't hear your logic. She doesn't see your well-reasoned arguments. She hears the buzzing of a fly she wants to swat. She feels the ghost of a relationship where she felt controlled. And now, in this new dynamic, your attempts at logic are seen as just another power play. The more you push, the more she resists. The more you explain, the less she listens. Your internal monologue is one of supreme frustration. Can't she see this is better for everyone? I'm just trying to be logical. Why is she being so emotional? If she would just listen to me, we could get this done in a week. You see yourself as the architect trying to save the building, while she's the irrational demolition crew. You're trying to play chess, and she's kicking over the board. So you double down, you send more emails, you leave voicemails. You have your lawyer send her lawyer a sternly worded letter. And with every single move, you give away your power. So you've embraced the mindset, you've stopped fighting for fairness, and you've traded your warrior helmet for a CEO's chair. But the rubber has to meet the road. How do you actually do it? How do you stay detached when every fiber of your being is screaming for a fight, when the woman you once loved is pushing every button she spent years installing? The first step is to treat communication like a weaponized tool, not a conversation. You put yourself on a strict information diet. You stop looking at her social media. You tell your friends you don't want to hear about what she's doing or who she's seeing. You mute, you block, you delete. All necessary communication regarding logistics, and only logistics, goes through a single sterile channel, a co-parenting app, an email address you check once a day. That's it. Your phone is no longer a leash she can yank. Your mind is no longer a space she can occupy for free. This will feel like withdrawal from a drug, because that's what it is. Your brain is addicted to the conflict, to the dopamine hit of anger and righteousness. You have to starve it. You have to sit with the discomfort of not knowing, of not engaging, and let the craving pass. The second and most critical step is understanding you cannot create a vacuum. You cannot just stop caring about the divorce. You must start caring more about something else. You must begin, with absolute urgency, the work of building your second life while the first one is still being dismantled. This is your prime directive. Every ounce of energy you are currently spending thinking about her, arguing with her, or lamenting your situation must be redirected into building your new empire. An empire of one. This means your physical body. You go to the gym not as a hobby, but as if your life depends on it, because it does. You reclaim your physical sovereignty. It means your tribe. You reconnect with the men in your life, not to complain about your ex, but to be a man among men again. You don't get detached by thinking detached thoughts. You get detached by building a life so compelling, so full of your own mission, that the drama of the divorce becomes a boring, distant noise. It becomes a small, annoying piece of administrative work you have to deal with, not the central drama of your existence. While she and the lawyers are fighting over the ashes of the old kingdom, you are laying the foundation for a new one. By the time the papers are signed, you will be so far down your new path that you will barely even look back. The final lie, the most dangerous one of all, is the one that tells you this is the end, that the divorce is a final judgment on your worth as a man. that your story is now one of failure. You see yourself as permanently damaged goods, a man defined by a loss. You imagine your future as a gray, diminished version of your past. This is the narrative of the victim, and if you accept it, you will spend the rest of your days as a ghost, haunting the memory of the life you once had. You will become that bitter man at the bar, telling the same story for 20 years, blaming a woman for a life he refused to rebuild. Here's the final brutal truth. This divorce is not the end of your story. It is the end of a chapter you were probably meant to finish long ago. This is not a failure, it's a graduation. It's the universe forcibly removing you from a situation that was stunting your growth, holding you back, and making you a lesser version of yourself. This pain, this fire, this demolition, it is a gift. It is a violent, unwanted, excruciatingly painful gift, but it is a gift nonetheless. It is the opportunity to burn away everything that wasn't truly you and build a life on your own terms, from the ground up, with the wisdom you earned in the flames. The mistake wasn't the divorce. The only mistake is thinking your life is over when it has in fact just been handed back to you. Your life isn't what you lose in the settlement, it's what you build with what's left. Subscribe now, because the blueprints for your new life are waiting.